All right, so we are going to show you how to open up your projects or your assignments for Computer Science A, your Java Labs, using Visual Studio Code. So you're looking for this icon, Visual Studio Code. I think the easiest way to do it is to just search for code or Visual Studio Code and open it up. And it's going to come to this first screen. The very first time you open it up, you've never, chosen your themes. And if you want to choose a different color scheme or whatever, you could do that. I'm going to ignore that stuff. You guys can figure that out on your own. Um, what I'm going to focus on is how do you actually start our assignments. So I'm going to open up a Google Chrome window, and I'm going to navigate to classroom.github.com. And this is where we've already accepted the assignments. So I'm going to have you sign in. You can use your username for GitHub or the email associated with that account, and then whatever your password is. Okay. We want to find our APCSA class. You'll probably be taken straight to here. And then our first lab, if you already accepted the assignment from Google Classroom, clicked on that link, you should be able to open it up here. I'm going to open up my repository, and it should take you guys directly to this. Okay. Obviously, I have a lab manual here that tells you guys, the instructions for what you're supposed to be doing. But I'm trying to get this repository or this folder full of problems, count.java, problems.java, the README instructions, simple.java, into my local computer. So I'm going to go to code, and I'm going to copy this URL. So click the copy button, and then switch back over to VSCode. Now on the left-hand side, we're going to click on the source control screen, and we're going to select clone repository. Now I'm going to paste in the URL that we just copied from GitHub Classroom. Okay, this link here gets pasted into this clone repository. It should end in a .get, and I'm going to hit enter. When you do that, it's going to ask you where do you want to save it. Now, when we're on the school computers, you always want to save to your H drive. So your H drive is going to be whatever your username is, brad.crockett or joe.smith. For now, mine's just a generic student account, and I'm going to put it in here somewhere. Maybe I want to create a new folder for APCSA, and I'm going to put all of my projects or my lab assignments into this folder. So I'm going to select that repository location, and it's going to start to think, and it's going to tell you, hey, you need to sign in to GitHub. That's so that VS Code can access the documents that are in the cloud. We'll click sign in with the browser. It's going to go automatically to Edge because that's the default on the computer. I'm going to just try to start without using my data. I don't want to sign in. I don't want my Microsoft to make my experience more useful. I just want to start browsing. Now again, I'm going to use my GitHub user account, my username, and then I'm going to type in my password. There are directions to setting up a different way to log in using a token, and if you want to follow those instructions, you can. It makes it a little bit easier. You don't have to sign in every single time, but username and password, I'm going to sign in. I don't want Edge to remember my passwords. But once I've done that, it's going to say, all right, great. I've downloaded those things. Would you like to open the clone repository? I'm going to say yes. Open the repository. Do you trust the authors? Yes. I trust the authors of the files. And I now have VS Code, and you can see count.java, problems.java, the README, and simple.java are all in my folder. If I click on count.java, I can see the code here, the source code, and down in the right-hand corner, it's going to say, do you want to install the recommended extensions for Java? Click Install. And then it's going to take a few minutes. You'll see it thinking here, and you'll probably see some progress bars along the bottom. But it's going to install this extension pack, which includes a bunch of different stuff that's useful for when we're programming in Java. Projects are input. We'll just click Don't Show again on that. Okay. Now, in count.java, once I've installed the extension pack, I should be able to see this little play button here. So there's a couple different ways that we can run the projects. And the first way that I'm going to show you is using the terminal. So I'm going to click Terminal, New Terminal, and instead of PowerShell, I don't like PowerShell, I'm going to say add a new git bash terminal. This is actually going to allow us to use Linux commands on the Windows computer. They're a little bit more useful. And if you ever have to do website management, you have to know these commands anyways. All right, so I have a bash terminal open. I'm going to delete the PowerShell one, and we can use Linux commands now. So ls, or bash commands. And ls lists the files in the folder that I'm in. Here you can see the student that's logged in, which should be your username, the computer that you're on, which should match the sticker on the bottom of the computer, and the folder that we're in, H drive, APCSA, Chapter 1 Labs, Bradley Crockett. So now I have these 4 files. The one that I want to compile right now is count.java. So I'm going to use the command java c for Java compile, count.java. Being careful to have a capital C because the name of my file starts with an uppercase C, and hit enter. And it's going to do some thinking, and then you notice that all of a sudden I have this count.class file. Okay? That's the file that the Java virtual machine is actually going to run up here in the upper left-hand corner. To run my file, I'm now going to say Java count, and that's it. It's going to run the count.class file, and we should see the output from this main method. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? And that's it. So it's a two-step process. First, I compiled the source code. Then I ran the count.class file. Okay? All right. I want to clear the screen down here in the terminal. I'm going to type CLEAR, clear, which seems pretty obvious. And that is a Linux command to clear the terminal window. Great. If I type ls again for list the files in this folder, I can see now there's a count.class, there's count.java, problems.java, the readme, etc. If you click on the readme, doesn't look very nice. There is an extension to make these a nice readable file. I find that most of my students just like reading it from the website. It's really clear here, so this is an easy way to go back and look at your instructions. So you could start reading through Lab 1.1 Hello World, follow these instructions, and complete your labs. Again, I'll show you the second way. Since we have gone through how to compile and run a file from the terminal, clear, close the terminal, and do it the easy way. If I go back to count.java, I should be able to just play use this little play button, and it will run the file that's open. It is going to give me an error because when I click this run button, it's going to compile all 3 of these files, everything that's in the folder. Now, right now it says problems.java has a bunch of problems. Would you like to continue? So basically it's failing on the compilation. And then I'm going to click proceed. When I proceed, it will then run the same thing that we just ran. There's another way to do it right here. You can click this little run program. I believe if we do it that way, you're still going to get the build fail because problems.java has errors. We'll click proceed, and then it will run that file. All right, great. That's it for now.